morning. Here we go. 120A, right in the middle. Itmar. So, Shchitas Laila B'Bamas Yachid. You have the slaughtering at nighttime, which we know is invalid, but you do it on a private bama, one you built in your backyard. So now, Rav Shmuel, Chadamar Shev, Chadamar Psula, one says it's good, and one says it's no good. What's their argument about? They're arguing within the opinion of Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar, Rami Kra. Rabbi Lazar has a contradiction in verses. Ahadadi, Siv. So by Sholem Melech, there's a long war against the Plishtim, and then afterwards they went and they sacrificed, they sanctified offerings, but they just slaughtered them. So the Yomer Begatim Galu Elai Hayom Evan Gedola said, you acted rebellious against me. You have to you got to build a big stone. You have to build a big mound and then offer the sacrifice, not just offer the sacrifice. So it says though, sounds like they did it in the daytime. Uksiva Yomer Shol puts. Uksiva Yomer Shol putsu ba'am v'amartim lahem kigishu la'ish shoro v'ish v'ish shoro v'ish seyu u'shechatitem b'zeh v'achaltem v'lo techtu la'Hashem la'chol adam. And then, so he says you should go and also and slaughter and bring up the sacrifices. And the end of the verse says that what do they do? And they went and they slaughtered at nighttime. So now on the one hand it says that that they should build it by daytime. You should do that in the daytime, bring up a sacrifice. And the next verse says that what happened, that they did it at nighttime. So can you or can you not do the shechita at nighttime? So says the Gemara, Mar Mishani Kan Mechulin Kan Bekachim. The two verses can be reconciled that when it says that it did it at nighttime, that was just a slaughtering of a regular animal. That's what that verse is referring to. But that which they had to slaughter in the daytime, and not just and bring it up on a bama and not just slaughter it, that was referring to the sacrificial offerings. So the verse that said that they did in the daytime is referring to the sacrificial offerings, and the one that says at nighttime is referring to the mundane, just a regular animal. Now, yeah, so that's one way to answer the difficulty of the verses. If you answer it like that, then it's prohibited to slaughter at nighttime. And the other one interprets it as, it depends. They were both verses were talking about mounds. It depends whether they're talking about a smaller mound or a larger mound. So a smaller mound you're allowed to do at nighttime, and a larger mound you're not. And therefore you have a verse telling you that they slaughtered things in the nighttime, and therefore that's okay. Okay. Yeah. Itmar. Olas Bamas Yachid. So you have an Ola that you want to bring on a private mound. Now an Ola usually needs the stripping of the skin, and you chop it up into small pieces. Do you have to do that if you're bringing an Ola by a private mound? Yes or no? Rav Amar ain't 2.5 do not, and Rabbi Yochanan Amar 2.5 and you do. What do they argue about? The kamiflagi bid Rabbi Yossi Aglili. They argue about the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the tiny Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer Ola Shekriv Yisrael Midbar, the Ola offering that the Jews brought in the desert. Ain't tuuna hefshe v'nituach. It does not require hefshe v'nituach. Shein hefshe v'nituach elam ol moed ve'elach. Because the requirement to strip and to chop into pieces only came later on after the desert from the Ol Moed and further. Mar Savar Ol Moed ve'elach. One holds that it's Moed ve'elach and it means Lo Shna B'Magdov Lo Shna B'Maktana. Regardless if it's a private mound or a public mound, it's only from the Ohel Moed and onwards. Sorry. What? When it says that they did not, that they the ola that they offered in the desert, it doesn't mean in the 40 years. It means Rashi says by Har Sinai. Did that ola require hefshev v'nituach? To that we say no. It's only from the Ohel Moed and onwards. Ohel Moed, which was also in the desert. So only from the Ohel Moed and onwards did they have this requirement. So once you had that requirement, though, it doesn't matter if it's a large mound or a small mound. Umar Savar Baba Magdola in Baba Kanalo, and the other one holds that that's only requirement for the large communal mounds, but not the private mounds. Those do not require it. Tanya Kavasa de Rabbi Yochanan. We're gonna have a brisa supporting Rabbi Yochanan. Devarim shebein Bama Gedola Bama Kana. The things that are differences between a public mound and a private mound are as follows: Karen v'kavesh v'yisod v'ribua. You have the horns on the altar and the ramp on the altar and the base of the altar and the square of the altar. That's all true by a communal mound. The ain Karen v'yisod v'kavesh v'ribua, but all those requirements are not going to apply to a private mound. Kiyor, so the sink, the kana, I think is the base of the sink, the bamagdola, that's all true by a public mound. The ain't kiyor the bamagdana, but those things don't apply. The sink and its base by a private bama. Chazav v'shok bamagdola, the thighs and the chest, the bamagdola, those you bring on the bamagdola. Yeah, it means you wave them. You wave them. The requirement to wave the chaz v'shok, that's by a public bama. The ain chaz v'shok b'bama kana, but not by a private mound. Devarim sheshavs b'bamagdola b'bama. The ways that they're similar, shchita b'bamagdola uktana. You have to do slaughter by both. Hevshet. Oh, that's what we need. Hevshet v'nituach b'gdola uktana, and skinning and chopping into pieces by the ola. That's going to apply in both a communal bama and a private bama. And here's where you see that it's a support for Rabbi Yochanan. Now, dam matir, the fact that applying the blood allows you to eat the sacrifice. If you have the wrong intention, it's going to be pigel umefagel. That's bigdola viktana. That would apply according to this opinion in both public and private mounds. Mumin vizman bigdola viktana. And the disqualification of blemishes or eating it after the right time, that's going to apply both by sacrifices by a public mound and by a private mound. Now, the end of our Mishnah said of all nosar v'hazman v'hatame shavin b'zeh u'b'zeh. Nosar, so the food that's left over for too long, either one night and one day, or 2 nights and one or 2 nights. That's nosar v'hazman. If you eat it outside the right time, v'hatame, or they become impure. Those are all going to be disqualifications that are going to apply by both a communal mount and a private mount. So now, Taner Rabbanan minayin lasos zman b'bamakana kibamagdola. How do you know to make the same requirement of time, whether it's, let's say, for shlamim you have 2 days, whether it's a katas you have 1 day? How do you know that requirement will apply by both a communal mount and a private mount? So, skipping the parentheses, the Ha'amra Torah, the Torah says lan yisari. It says things that are left over too long, they're left over, you have to burn them. They're called nosar. V'yotze yisari, when you take something out, so then out of its out of the base of Mikdash, so then you have to burn that as well. Yeah. So my yotze yisarif. So my yotze kasher b'bama, just like when you take something outside of the right place. In general, you have to burn it, but by a bama, it's going to be kasher. So too, aflon kasher b'bama. So too, when it's left overnight, you would think it's kasher b'bama. You would think that really it should be good. Sorry, aflon kasher b'bama. So therefore, it's good, even if it's left overnight. You would think it's going to be good, and therefore we're going to have a verse to tell you that it's not going to be good. Yeah. So we'll get to the verse in a second. But before that, the Gemara says, hold on. V'lav kal v'chomer hu me'opos, is it not a kal v'chomer from the birds? Meaning, I don't need a verse to tell me that it's going to be invalid. I can learn the invalidation through a kal v'chomer regarding birds, such as ma'ofos, just like the birds, she'ein hamum posel bahen, just like the birds have a special dispensation that a invalidation is not going to invalidate them. So she'ein hamum posel bahen, a blemish is not going to invalidate them, but zman posel bahen. But yet, if they're left after their certain time, that's going to be no sir, and they're going to be invalid. So kache b'makana she'amun posel bahen, sacrifices on a private mound where the invalidation will invalidate. Eino din shezman posel bahen. Is it not true that for sure leaving it over for sure will invalidate? So what do you need a verse for to teach me that it's going to be invalid? It should be learned out of a kal v'chomer from the birds. Says the Gemara, well, it can't be a kal v'chomer, and that's why you need a verse. Mala opos shekain ein hazar kosher bahen. Mala opos, just like birds, shekain ein hazar kosher bahen. A non-Kohen can't do the service. Tomar b'ba makana shazar kosher ba. Can you say the same thing by b'ba makana, a private mound where a non-Kohen could do the service? So lo yehei is man possible. So we see it's more lenient. The private mound is more lenient. Even a non-Kohen can do the service. So maybe you should not let this invalidation be an invalidation of leaving the food overnight. It should not have a status of no sir. To that we need a verse. Talmud Lomar, v'zos Toras Zevach Hashlamim. So by the Shlamim, it says this is the category of the Zevach Hashlamim, and it equates all Shlamim to be the same, whether it's brought on the altar or whether it's brought on a private mound. It's all going to have the same halachas. This is the category of the shlamim, and it's going to apply. It's going to apply throughout, even by a private mound. And in that section, it talks about that this nosar invalidation applies by a shlamim. And since it all has one halacha, it's one category. Whatever invalidation you'll find by a regular shlamim, you're going to find you're going to find that also by a bama ketana, by a private mound. So v'zos Zevach Shlamim la'asos zman b'makana kizman b'magdola. Just like you're going to have the invalidation of leaving things overnight, the same by a private mound as you would have by a public mound that you only have by a shlamim 2 days and 1 night. You see that invalidation will apply by a public mound, and it would even apply by a private mound.